Hey everyone, this is a quick follow-up video in regards to some questions. Um, so I looked at about, give or take, a dozen different shops that were about my shop size and their setups, and all their setups varied one from the other, but there were two shops that really stood out in terms of what they had set up, and only one of them uh, matches how elaborate I've been with my setup. This is much more elaborate than most other shops, and I don't uh, mean that in a negative way. It's just everybody came up with their method of doing things that's good for them and it works for them. I have to tailor this to work for me, so I took the best elements from each shop and put them in here. And again, there was one shop that really stood out the most, and my setup, I think, mostly matches that one shop with a few exceptions. Um, all of them used buckets like this, either round or square. I went with the round. I would have preferred the square, but I need to be able to seal up my solution. I thought that was important. They also drill holes in their buckets, and what they do is they mount these towards the bottom. They drill a hole in the bottom, and they have them usually going in at two different angles. And all of them have some sort of circulation, agitation going on. Everybody let me back up. Not everybody, but most used fish aeration pumps. And, that blows bubbles in the water, and I don't want that. Others used the same as that, just circulating the water. But again, they were mounted differently. The buckets were set up differently. So part of my issue is that I don't want to drill holes into buckets, and drilling holes always leads to problem. The plastic is, it's hard to seal up, and eventually there's going to be a leak, and it's going to get all over everything, and I just didn't want to get into drilling holes. So that's why these are mounted like that, and I'm totally fine with this. The pump that I'm designing, is only going to be about that big around, and it's going to go straight down on this side, and there will be several openings that'll shoot straight across, and it'll be removable and stuff, and I'm going to do that. As far as the anodizing tank, every tank that I looked at, they had drilled holes in, and again, I don't want to do that. Unfortunately, that means I have to put my tubing in and out of the tank, which is a drawback. However, this tank, like these tanks, as you can see, it seals up, and that's what I want. I don't want this electrolyte, evaporating into the air. And again, most of the agitation are used with bubbles. I didn't want that. I am going to have to put a bubbler in it, a small aerator, and I'm going to get something small because this doesn't really need anything big. So the smallest aerator that I can put in here is what I'm going to put in here, because I don't want to generate bubbles at all. And the way I have the solution is flowing from left to right. So intake is over here for both circulation and cooling, and exit is the same for circulation and cooling, and it's going in one solid direction. And this has to keep moving no matter what. And even with the dye baths, they have to keep circulating. It's just extremely important. So, and again, this setup is because I'm going to be manufacturing kitchen gadgets, and I have spoke about this in previous videos. While I'm documenting this and my machine shop, I'm not documenting the production of my kitchen gadgets, and I'm not talking about what I'm doing. It needs to remain separate, and there's a bunch of reasons why, which I really don't want to get into. So for right now, my focus has been building this business, and so I'm documenting it. At some point down the road, once I'm producing, the channel is going to switch, and I'm going to get into projects like other channels, and I'll upload videos about those projects, and they'll be personal projects and stuff. But I'm not going to ever be filming or documenting my manufacturing and what I'm doing as a business. So there's a lot of reasons for that, which I don't want to get into, but as far as what I've come up with here, I need a professional setup that I can depend on. And a lot of the setups that I looked at in people's shops were rather disappointing. And that's not my mindset. I'm not gonna build a hokey setup that's a mess, that's just a disaster, which again, there were two setups that really shone through, that were really organized, professional, and on the money, and it worked for what they're doing. The rest of the setups were absolute disasters, and I'm not doing that here. I've never done that in my life. I'm not going to do that in my life. I haven't done that with my shop, and I see people running their shops. A lot of the shops that I've been in are disasters, and that's not happening with me at all. The cooling setup, I've so far have got the most elaborate. Most of the shops are using old window air conditioner units, and they've got all kinds of funky stuff going on to cool their anodizing bath. There was no way I was going to do that. This is what I came up with, and there's still a few things I got to iron out with this, but it's nothing major. Mostly that thing ices up. I got to get a fan in there, and I've got a big heat sink right there, which is going to sit standing up in that bath, and then the fan will blow on that, and then I'm probably going to stick a heat sink on that. Yeah, I want to try to get this water, low 50s, I think would be good. But this is what I want, for cooling my tank. I think it's more appropriate, and it's not hokey, and it's well thought out. I put a lot of time and effort into this. So, and as far as the temp controllers, I mean, I need everything exact. I can't, have anything within a few degrees. I wanted everything to be spot on so that I get the most consistent results every single time, and I get the highest quality anodizing every single time. So, that's just the way I am. And maybe for other people, a lot of people, they have a Harbor Freight mindset, and that's not me. So I want to do things, completely right and 150%. And that's the way I'm doing this. I have to depend on this for years to come, and it has to work every time I need it to work. And so I think what I've put together here is about as solid as any anodizing setup I've seen. And I think that in regards to all the anodizing setups, I've pretty much outdone everybody, with the exception of that one. There's just a few things that he did with his tank that I didn't like, and I already, like I said, with the window AC unit and drilling holes into buckets, that's not where I'm at. So however, I've got an idea of something that I'm going to be working on. I am going to buy another tank, and I have an idea that I'm playing around with in my head, and it'll be a few months before I start working on it. But I have an idea for taking one of these tanks, and it would have to be on the side. I'd have to have 2 holes on the side and 2 holes on that side. But these barbs are what I need to be literally melted into the tank. And I'm not going to get into trying to do that with the hot iron, but I think I could do something where I could make an injection mold, and I could find out. So all these plastic containers, somewhere on the bottom, it tells exactly what plastic this is. So I could buy this exact plastic, and then I could just make an injection mold, drill a hole, and put the mold over it, and then inject the plastic, and it would basically just, melt into place and give me a permanent barb fitting on the sides that, would never leak. So I'm working on that, and if it works out, I might actually, make that process available to other anodizers. I don't know, but it is something I'm going to try. I'm not going to do it right now because I'm busy trying to get this business started. I've still got a few things I got to do. I need to do the trademark, which is another $500 something. I need to do the LLC, the business license. I need to do the website. I've already got the domain names for most, but the websites aren't built. But for the kitchen gadgets I'm producing, I don't have a website at all yet, or the domain name. I do have a domain name for the anodizing, and I will be offering anodizing on small run and single item anodizing, as well as laser engraving. But that's not what I built this for. I'm not doing this to do anodizing for other people. Usually, if a lot of shops out there, they have something they made and they want it anodized, and most shops, they're not even going to talk to someone like that because they want to do 50,000 pieces a month and yada yada yada. So I'm willing to do one-off items, or 10 or 20 or 50 or 80 batches once in a while, and so I will offer that. I don't know that I'll offer that for forever. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Who knows? I kind of believe businesses have to be a little organic in how they operate. I might, intend to make kitchen gadgets and then anodize them, but who knows? Maybe the anodizing will take off and the kitchen gadgets, don't do anything. So if that's the case, then I'm going to be anodizing. The same thing happened with a business that I helped a friend build back home. And he started out as a military collectible store. And what he is now is not even close to military collectibles. And thankfully, I was able to convince him, literally beat it into his head over the course of 2 years, to push the collectibles out and bring this other stuff in that people were wanting. And he eventually did that, and it took off. And that business has been around for close to, well, let's see, he opened in '84, so what is that, 40 years? So yeah, it's been good for him. But so yeah, I believe in being a little organic, and that's kind of where I'm at with all this. And so I hope that answers questions that anybody might have. As far as the water goes, the problem with the water, the deionized water, is most anodizing shops have their own reverse osmosis and deionizing setup. Okay, and I'm talking any industrial shop, not just anodizing, actually, because it's going to make more sense for them to do that than have water shipped in. So for me, I had no idea. Like I said, I'm just getting into this. Everything I've said was distilled water. Well, that was wrong. I don't have $4,000, $5,000 to install a setup like that right now, and eventually I will, but right now I can't. So I have to source the water from somewhere. And the town I live in, it's not a big city, and all of the water companies here cater to residential, schools, whatever. They're installing systems. They're not, a few are selling water, like the drinking water things, the jugs or whatever. But as far as any of the industries, I don't know that anybody here is supplying 55-gallon drums of deionized water to any sort of industrial type of businesses, because they're going to have their own setup. So I may not be able to find or source, 55 gallons of deionized water locally. In which case, yeah, I have to order it online. And the places I found online are exactly the kind of place that's catering to people in my situation. And, yeah, the shipping is absolutely outrageous. It probably accounts for 2/3 of the total cost of the water that I'm buying. So it's not something that's sustainable, but it is something that can get me going. I am going to be making calls around Seattle and see if I can locate something there, because that's the closest big city to where I'm at. And I have a friend that's in the water business, and he's already making moves to find out what I would need to install a permanent system, so that I can just create my own deionized water. So there it is again, another 18 plus minute video for something that should have been 5 or 10 minutes. But I hope that answers questions. And that's pretty much where I'm at. It's not going to change. And there's really nothing, I can't think of anything else to add other than, I'm trying to do things 100% correct as much as possible here. So in any case, if there's something I missed, ask in the comments and I'll give an answer. But hopefully that answers all the questions somebody might have. All right, folks, talk to you later.